Hey y'all, welcome back to our channel. I'm Reagan.
I'm Renee from What the Romance, and tonight we have a special treat for you.
Not only is it Renee's birthday, happy birthday, boo, but we also have a special guest in the house that we've been having in the works for quite some time now. Please welcome Mickey Miller.
What's going on?
Hey, welcome.
Yes, welcome. We're happy that you're here.
Yes.
Likewise, yeah. This is the first. I haven't done something like this in a little bit, but
So, first of all, we love the Brewer Brothers. We finished all of them. We're very obsessed. Mine, obviously, is Jocko. It's my favorite.
And mine is Everett. He's love my life.
very cool.
Of course, those are the only actual all of your books that we've read right now. But we're actually currently reading Lion Game.
Yes.
Actually in the middle of it currently. So, and it's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So on that topic, is there any were you having any potential stories for the other brewers of the family members or just them?
So, when I started writing that, it was a while back, and so 5 Day Fiance is it's actually a really funny story how I started writing 5 Day Fiance. Basically, if anyone's listening to this, so there's basically the Brewer Brothers. There's 3 books. There's The Lake House, and then there's The Holdout, and then there's 5 Day Fiance.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other Brewer Brother characters that are set up. So, but funny enough, I wrote 5 Day Fiance first. So I wrote Jocko first.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had this idea, and it's typical, I guess, writer brain. I think a lot of writers have this problem where I was in the middle of writing my book Hate Mates, which didn't come out until the next year, and didn't think Hate Mates was that good. I was I don't really know if I want to keep writing this book, but then I had the idea for 5 Day Fiance, and I had just been to a destination wedding, which that book takes place at a destination wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I was I did a destination. I basically wrote that book in a very short period of time, a couple weeks, and then I was oh crap, well I better write another book while this one comes out, because I wanted to do the audio, and then I wrote The Lake House and The Holdout as not as a buffer, but it just
they filled in properly with each other.
Yeah, and but that's a long way of saying, to answer your question,
you're good.
Basically, when I started writing it, I kind of envisioned, I definitely envisioned that there would be at least one more Brewer brother. I think Travis is in it. There's in one scene, and I did start writing it one time, but then I got distracted, as one does, and I ended up writing the college romance series, which I wrote that, and then now I don't know. I don't really know what my ideas were for that. So it's weird when you have to go back and try to be oh, what was my idea?
Right.
Because I don't really want to try to figure out what old me's idea was. I'd have to have a new idea. So I don't know, to answer your question.
It's all good. We were just, obviously Travis is very intriguing to us.
Definitely.
Very intriguing, because I feel like that would be a very fun story to read.
He's he lives in Vegas, right? And
What is it, Male Companion or something like that?
Yeah, Male Companion.
Yeah, he's.
I think that one would be super fun to read. But also Duke, him being the oldest, I found that one very intriguing. And also he's the oldest, and he's most rich out of all the brewers. I thought that was really cool. So just know you've got some fans if you ever do plan on doing that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I people have asked about that, and I'm I always feel a little bit bad when I don't all the way follow up. That's like the danger of creating
Yeah, having
those offshoot books.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Understandable. But at least you made it to where it's like you could second guess of like you wanting more, or it can just like you've explained what they do in their life, so people can kind of imagine themselves too.
Right.
yeah.
So that I get it. Do you have a favorite book of yours that's like your go-to that you tell everybody about?
It kind of varies, but there's probably like 3 or 4 that I tell people to start with, which is 5 Day Fiance. The Line Game, I think, is a little bit more raunchy.
Okay.
If people really seem like they're gonna get into my books and like they want to read, they're just like, because I have 20 plus books, so if they want to read like all the books,
Right.
they can start with Playing Dirty, and then like I tell them, because that's the very first book I wrote, and then you can actually see, I think, an evolution of my writing. So it's kind of fun if someone really, if you if you're really into indie romance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say those. And also I have this, but this is one of my favorites too, randomly. This is The Substitute. And it's just like, this is the first book I wrote that was like a top 20 Amazon bestseller.
Okay.
And so I kind of like stumbled, or, the work paid off, I guess, finally with that book. So
I'm gonna write that one thing.
I know.
So,
Yeah. So me and Reagan were kind of in the midst of writing our own books. And in one of the books, I have the main character who's a singer. But for me, it's hard to come up with like a song to put in there that doesn't sound like a different song. So how do you do it? Because I know that you did one for Maddox.
great question. I mean, are you guys co-writing this book, or is this you just both working on your books?
we're gonna be co-authors with each other. Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Well, yeah. Well, I play in a band as well, and I've written some songs, so I think I kind of have a advantage on this. But I think it's totally different than like writing a song is totally different than writing a book, and keeping it really simple, I think, is good, because if it's gets too much like too many words, then it's like an epic poem in the middle of a book. So I think just think about the sentiment you're trying to express, and then like the cool thing is you actually don't even have to come up with a melody, which is kind of makes it easier. It's for a book. So just keep it simple and like have one chorus hook that like is kind of sounds kind of catchy, and then come up with some verses and just edit it down. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
We thought you had like a good, because you do music yourself, so that's why we were like, maybe we need to ask this question because of the characters we have right now, and we draw a blank, obviously. So
yeah. Let's see. So because we obviously just finished up the Brewer Brothers, I have a couple more questions based on them, and I want to know like which one was like favorite to write, like both characters, the female and the male.
Definitely. Well, they're in somewhat different ways. Like the Lake House was really spicy, I guess, and it was like, I don't know. I'd just taken a trip up to my own lake house, and I was like, I'm just gonna write a book about a lake house, like a summer romance. I think probably 5 Day Fiance of the Brewer Brothers, just because it was like, I thought the characters were pretty fun and like endearing, and they're kind of had there was a little bit of slight revenge aspect of like, she's like showing off this new guy in front of her ex.
Yes. The scene that lives rent free in my head is the balcony.
Balcony scene.
Yeah, the balcony scene was a classic.
It's always a thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no, that was fun. And so yeah, and I also liked the general like those two characters. Jocko, I know Jocko is like a totally obnoxious name to choose. Like, it's not a normal name to choose for like a romance novel, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make this guy like really annoying but also endearing. And then like
You pegged it. I'll say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so and there's literally on Amazon reviews being like, it's like 3 stars. I would have given it 4, but Jocko, really? You had to name the character Jocko? Couldn't like, it's just so yeah.
I like the little nicknames that the brothers do give him, though, like Jockstrap.
Yeah. Sure.
I found that really hilarious. It was really good.
Yeah, nothing like a good nickname to make a book feel real to, or give it that real.
Yeah. For real. Let's see what else. Oh, we had another one. So we are writing our book, obviously, that we've mentioned. We are having difficulties kind of tapping into the male point of view. Do you have any what's it called? Suggestions or tips?
Tip.
Because I'm sure you've struggled with like, the woman's point of view. But I just feel like we should ask that because we're kind of getting it, but like we're also kind of struggling at the same time, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, I think well, first of all, I not struggle, but like the male point of view to me is I feel more pressure about it than the female. Like, just because a male, it's like, I don't know, there's certain likable. I think the key with a male is they have to be likable, and they have to be like, they have to really care about the people in their life, like, but also have like boundaries. I think that's what makes like a good, they're like kind of protective.
Okay.
But so they're not like, so the kind of asshole trope that people want to dig into,
Right.
but they're really not assholes to, it's like, to the female protagonist necessarily. Like, depends how you define the word, but I think just being like protective, but also, I don't know, like yeah, being protective. And then
I'm getting kind of, so as we're reading Carter from the Lion Game, I'm kind of getting a lot of the same vibes of like his meant like where he's feeling it in his head of what we're going for too. So
yeah, I think just to make them, if they have a tragic backstory, it makes them more likable too. I mean, that's
okay.
Okay.
No, it's all helpful.
Got that covered.
Yeah, anything is helpful. Do you have a favorite trope?
favorite trope. I mean, I like to write sports romance. I don't know if that's like a trope, but yeah, I definitely like writing that. I like enemies to lovers is fun. I think I'm still like digging into enemies to lovers, like to get it to where they really don't like each other.
Right.
That's always fun. Like, once you have a good reason for them not to like each other, and then like you just play with that part of the the plot or the story, it's just fun to dig into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like contemporary romance and sports.
Do you have a least favorite at all? Like anything?
Least favorite, I will say, I don't like to say like, like it's hard to say like favorite or least favorite necessarily. And like, but I will say that there's been like ebbs and flows of like, I can look back in my own life, I guess, and like when I had a breakup or whatever, and it was like, oh, this book kind of didn't seem, is a little less loving, or like something like I think Campus King was like that for me. That's kind of a random one, but
Okay.
the fourth book in a series, and I was just like kind of in a fog. But I wrote it. It has a happy ending, but I wasn't like pumped up reading it. I was like,
I understand.
And I ended up taking a break after writing that book. I took like a year break from writing mostly.
My goodness. So you did just release your second book, The Roommate Arrangement, correct?
Yeah, The Roommate Arrangement.
You just released that like what, a week ago? 2 weeks ago? Not that long.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago I released it.
I know that the first one, The Marriage Arrangement, was known as Rock Block. Was there a reason why you changed the name, or just?
I always like to try different things, and honestly, if you were to ask me like after it's done, like I'm actually regretting having changed it because of the confusion it caused. I just thought that Rock Block was more like, it was a little more, I thought ironically that it made more sense to have like the marriage arrangement followed by the roommate arrangement.
Right.
Like kind of more of a, had a little,
Right.
It's kind of like the Lion Game, the End Game. It had like, it's a duet, so it kind of made sense. But the problem was it's already been Rock Block for so long, and I had talked about how the next book was going to be called The Red Notebook. So I think it just ended up confusing people.
Right. No, and that's totally fine. Like everyone's different, so I get it. You have an idea, so you're gonna go with it. I got it. Are you having any more for this series, or is this like the last book of that one, The Roommate Arrangement?
Well, that book, it's kind of an offshoot of the Forever You college romance series that I wrote.
Okay.
And there is one more book that I could potentially write in that college series, and I actually did half write it, but it's another one of those, I wrote it about 2.5 years ago, and now I have no idea where like this plot would go.
Right.
But never say never.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah.
Not sure.
Understandable. Do you have any writing like tips or inspo for like, since we're up and coming writers, but like also for anybody else out there who's listening, like any tips or advice for upcoming writers?
Tips or advice for upcoming writers? I love giving tips and advice for upcoming writers. I should do more of that, but I think that it's getting like kind of falling in love or getting used to the process, I think is a big thing. Like, don't fall in love with one book idea. Like, I've noticed people do that. Even myself, I have a tendency sometimes to do it. It's like, you think, oh, I got this one book idea, and like, this is going to be the jackpot. And like, but that's really not, there's like this way of thinking about it where it's like, instead of having a like big goal like that, because you can't control, it could be a big hit, but like you just don't know. But
Right.
but you can't control that. You can only do the best that you can, and then hope that like do all that. So I think just making sure that you are getting like good habits and making it like kind of fun, and making it more about like making it more about how you work a little bit like every day, and not getting, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but
You're good. I'm understanding what you're saying.
And I'll say that that's kind of like a general piece of advice. My other piece of advice is honestly to put your cell phone in another room and disconnect from the internet for however long you can stand, half hour, and that is how you can write a lot. You can get a lot done.
No, I totally agree with you on that one, because I have left my phone elsewhere before and like not even like intentionally doing it, but I did it and I felt like I got so much more done. So totally agree with that. Great.
Yeah.
Do you have like inspo for your writing? Like obviously you said you go to the lake, you have your own lake house, so that's how you did the lake house for you. Do you have like any other inspo that you go off of, or just kind of just comes to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I get a lot of different inspiration from honestly, like this book, for instance, The Substitute. There is a character in this book, the principal at the school, the boss, and there's literally a review saying, I don't believe that the boss is like, is a basically not a feasible character.
Okay.
And essentially what I did was I took this boss, she's been like, well, Ellie, can you actually prepare, something for tomorrow mornings, at like 6:30, she'll have the main character do this.
Right.
And she's kind of being a pushover. So she'll be like, oh, of course, and this is literally taken from my sister's life. So I just
okay.
So I think taking a story like that, if you have someone who tells funny stories, or
okay,
you can find just like somewhere you can get a good story, that's totally fair game. And that's where I get some of my best stories, I think, are come from, or like the little, like what I do, I really look for moments. So when I write, I'm not trying to, obviously my books are fiction. Hopefully people get that. But what I think can make a book really cool is having like a moment, or like, if you want one quote that people can really latch onto and like highlight, and that can be taken. You can get that from real life. Like there's I think some of the best things come, from that. So.
I get it, because like even though it's fiction, but like there's a lot of things in here that could be potentially like real life things. Like I get it.
Yeah, it's almost like,
yeah,
it's like this show Seinfeld. I don't know if you guys are Seinfeld fans, but
yep,
for that show, they literally took things from people's real lives and then they made it into they put those into fictional form with those characters they had. And like a lot of the stuff is real, and which is what gives it that like hilarity.
right,
right.
I like that.
And like, and getting like specific, I think, like I've taken a lot of improv classes. This is stuff people don't know about Mickey Miller. And so I think if we're going to talk about this, if I can get on my, slightly cocky horse for a second.
It's fine. Go ahead.
I've been in this industry for quite a while. And honestly, if you know any other male authors who like have been around for 6+ years and have written, have actually written themselves books that are number 5 in the Amazon store.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've literally had people accuse me of ghostwriting, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's a huge compliment to me, because I am, I did write my books. Like I know that I wrote them. So,
right.
If you think that I can't do that, that's because you're telling me my female point of view is too good. So I'm like, all right, well, it is. I did write it. So I've known a lot of women in my life. I've talked to a lot of women, maybe in more intimate settings than some women,
But that's sometimes that's what you have to do to get to that character that you're trying to get to, like just
exactly.
ask the question. So like, I mean, I'll ask my husband questions, or like all of my like guy friends, or even have Renee ask her brothers like random questions. Like, I mean, you just get some information. So I totally understand that. Get it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so I've taken, like I took improv classes for a long time as well in Chicago. And I wanted to be a screenwriter when I got back from the Peace Corps.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I wanted to be a screenwriter. So I started taking improv classes, and I think one of the things with improv they teach is like the yes and method, which I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's like, essentially you don't negate the reality that's being created, and you use that as building blocks. Okay, so if I'm writing a scene, I'll use this a lot. Maybe I don't have a great idea, right? And this is people, I don't have an idea, I can't write. Well, that's not true, because you can sit down and you could write. You can sit down right now, and like if I had a gun to your head, be like, oh yeah, I can write. I have an idea now. It's like people can do it. But if you write and I say, oh, I'm gonna write this story, and like maybe I don't even know, honestly, I don't know how I came up with the premise for like The Substitute, for example, where Peyton is an NFL player, but he's back in town. And my idea, I was like, there's a strike, so he has to come back to the town.
Okay.
And he's like in his old small town. And yeah, it's a little bit far-fetched, but whatever. And I was like, okay, now, so I'm like, okay, I kind of have this little idea. I'm like, well, how does it start? And like, it starts out when she gets back from school, and like, she sees Peyton like mowing the lawn, and it's he's shirtless. And I was like, I didn't really come up with that. Like, as soon as I started writing that, then I just decided, I'm like, oh, well, Peyton's going to be kind of cocky, and he's going to like make fun of her in some way. And then there's this whole joke that they have in this book with like, they have like a tin can, like telephone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On it.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, you just make up stuff on the go. And then like, I think having that be like a callback though.
Right.
So it's like, having that be a callback where the readers can like enjoy that stuff, like, it becomes like a running joke.
Their thing, like their little thing that they got with each other. I get
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For writing romantic comedy, it's like in The Lying Game. I mean, Carter is constantly, he can never get Lacey's boyfriend's name right. He always messes it up every time, and it's funny. It's like
it's intentional, but like he's doing it because he knows it gets under his.
Tell Larry.
Yeah.
Tell Larry.
Yeah.
It's Lance, Carter. Yeah. Yeah. Tell Luke that he's gonna come. He can come. Just like, it's kind of. It's, so finding little things like that, I think, are.
Yeah. So me and Reagan, when we first got the very first message that you sent us, it was a voice message. And me and her both instantly texted each other saying that you would be the perfect voice for any of our guys in any of our books.
I'm sure you've gotten that so many times.
Yes. But have you done any audio for any books?
I've thought a lot about doing audio work, and I think if I'm going to do an audiobook, I might do more, but I think the first audiobook that I would do is the book that I'm actually working on right now, which is it's a music romance. It's like, and it's just very near and dear to my heart, and it's got like a lot of I don't know, it's just got a lot of, I play in a band. I really love music. I think music is one of the best things in existence, and I think
Agreed.
I'm trying to bring that out of the, like, in the book, and kind of like have that be a huge part of the book. And so in the book there's like songs, and there's a lot of different stuff, and I think basically that would be this book. I would start doing, I don't know, I've thought about doing it on other books. It's just like I don't, it's a lot of work. Like, I actually did a book of mine, and I never released it. I decided not to release it, and it's just so much work. And
I can only imagine what kind of work, because then you have to like work about stumbling over.
Yeah.
Like, it's way harder than you think, because you have to then do, like, you have to do like the voices, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to do, it's like, oh wait, here's, the grocer from chapter 2 again, chapter 16. What do they sound like? You have to have like these voices. So it's like, it's a different, like, that's a different skill than, just being a writer, and I think
Right.
but again, never say never. I think I'm like have I have so many projects that I do, and I'm like have a job again, so I'm like trying to do everything, and it's like I end up getting like nothing done, which is bad, but
A cluster.
Understandable.
yeah, it's like I have, and it's funny because you guys have prompted me right now. I've been asked a lot about, like how to write type questions, and it's something I really think about, because it's a really cool thing with the romance genre specifically. I don't know if there's like another genre that quite has the like amount of people, and then like the support in the actual genre. Like it's this whole web of, you have like your really, sexy books, you have your like, New York Times best-selling authors that interact with everyone, and it's like this really cool web. But it also enables people to, like, I've met a lot of people that have like over the years, started writing, and it enables people to have like a personal creative journey.
Mm-hmm.
And like you got, it's so cool, like you both are collaborating with each other to like build this thing that then people are actually going to read and like have this storyline, which is so cool if you think about it. Like, how many years ago would, like in 2000, the year 2000, you couldn't really do that in the same sense that you can now. So anyways, you're making me think of project number 106, which is doing some kind of guide to write.
It's fine. Just gotta get your mind going. Come on. We're helping you with the push.
Yeah, no, it's good. So here's a question for you. What's your like favorite social media right now?
Taylor, yours is TikTok.
Yes, mine is TikTok, but Instagram is always my number one. But TikTok is right there, just because like I have so much fun on that app.
I can't do I'm still figuring out my TikTok. I just started about a month ago, and I'm like,
well, from what you've seen, you're doing good. I mean, it's pretty good.
I've found, I don't know, I feel like I've like gotten lucky a few times, and I'll just like jump on a trend. Like, I don't know what I'm doing though, quite frankly. Like, I don't understand how one does well and another one doesn't. Like, I kind of have, like, I can guess, but and I'm still finding my like, what is my comfort with being really just being like my characters or something like
yeah.
I don't know how to do the
the transitions of some sort.
Yeah.
Well, just having just having a blurb like above my face, and like,
okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The text,
sexy NFL teacher, teacher is also your neighbor. So I'm just like, I don't know, like, but you have to be, you have
to be super tech savvy. Like I've gotten the hang of it really good, but like I'm still learning certain things to this day where I'm just like, oh my God, like, okay, how am I gonna do this? And then like I'll YouTube, like I've been using YouTube a lot on how to like edit certain things. So definitely there's the thing to help you.
That's not what I was gonna say, but I was gonna say you have to be willing to look foolish.
That's also true.
Like, be a little cringe at first, and like, I honestly, that was why someone told me to get on TikTok like a year and a half ago, and I was like, yeah. And now I'm like, oh shoot, I'm super late. Like, if I would have gotten in, blah blah blah, same old story. But so, question for you guys: do you like music?
Absolutely.
Like, what's your genre?
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like all over the place. Like I can go from like super hardcore rap like NWA to like Marilyn Manson to like straight country. Like I can go all over the place.
Okay.
I can go from jazz to like straight up rap to like heavy hard metal to country. and like everything else in between.
Okay. Alrighty then.
We're like all over the place.
Yeah, we love music.
Pretty cool. Yeah, me too. I like classical. I like definitely like country. I'm getting into country. But the reason I asked, well, one of the reasons I asked is seem interested in just that you mentioned that a couple times, and I am compiling now for my super secret music book, like some kind of, I don't even know, it's like an ARC team, I guess.
Okay.
Basically, this book is, I'm not sure, it might come out like probably next year, hopefully get it out by like next fall or something. But if you guys are interested, we can message and we can talk about that. But I'm just like starting a list of people who might be interested in this book. So
Of course.
Yeah,
like
Totally.
absolutely.
special list. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
If I was gonna put anything on a big billboard, what would it say?
I don't know.
Sorry, what?
All I can think about is something from Jocko, whatever he says.
Something from Jocko. So okay, since you mentioned Jocko, the funny thing is, did you know that in 5 Day Fiance, and this is why, if people really want to get into the Mickey Miller like universe, there is I do my best to leave like a bunch of Easter eggs and like fun connections, but in Jocko's in 5 Day Fiance, they're actually at Peyton and Maddie's wedding. That's
Right,
the wedding
yeah.
they're at. So
book it is. It's Peyton's right there.
what's that?
That's Peyton's book.
This is Peyton's book, yeah. So like, and if anyone's listening out there, that basically in 5 Day Fiance, there's this guy who is really giving Jocko a hard time because they're like pretending they're married, and he's like wants to make sure that Jocko has Allie's best interests,
Mhm.
and those are really fun scenes too, where he's like, "Let me talk to you, man."
I like the whole
Your
pizza
intentions.
scenario. Like the whole pizza scenario with black olive or something.
So wait, say that again.
The pizza scenario with like her not liking olives on it or whatever, and like him totally like blanking and failing that one.
Yeah.
That was funny. But we also met Peyton in Everett's book too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Peyton he gets around.
But so now that you say the whole Easter egg thing, because I did see, I think if I remember correctly, it was in The Holdout. It was somebody named Alex who was in the dorm room portrayed as like a guy, but she's not, maybe. I'm like blanking on it, but I feel like that was one too, because I've seen some of your overviews of like your books, and I was like, wow, this seems very familiar. I feel like I've heard this one, but I could totally be wrong. I'm gonna have to dive back into my Kindle to figure out what it was so that I can message you and be like,
No,
so what?
that is correct. Yeah, that is.
Okay.
It's where there's a girl in the guy's dorm. That's
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I literally highlighted. I was like, this sounds so familiar.
You guys are great. Well, thank you so much for thoughtfully reading and reading my books, and I appreciate that.
We are finishing up the episodes that we're doing for each of the brewers.
Yes.
So you'll have those to listen to also. And then you'll see our photos of all of our cool notes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
But thank you again for coming on here, and
Thank you so much.
we'll probably have you back on later down the road when you get your new book coming out, or
Yeah.
friends or anything.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. It was fun.
You have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, bye.